On the news tonight, Ondo State government to dredge waterways in curbing incessant floods. Former Ondo State governor urged federal government to tackle brain drain in health sector. Clerics seek legislation banning election prophecies, political prediction. And from the foreign scene, anxiety in Sierra Leone as citizens await general election results. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the news tonight. I am Jane Aino. Ondo State Acting Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa has assured residents of proper clearing and expansion of all waterways and canals to reduce flood incidences in the state. Ayedatiwa made the remark during an on-the-spot assessment to areas affected by flood by the 17 hours rain that fell since yesterday in Akure metropolis, destroying houses and property. Government House correspondent Timileyin Falade reports that the acting governor also appealed to residents to desist from improper disposal of waste, which blocks river channels in the state.
What was supposed to be a shower of blessing turned a night of woes and lamentation for residents affected by flood occasioned by the 17 hours rain that fell, which wreaked havoc on houses and properties. Areas affected by the flood include Alawata Way, Ayedun, Araromi Axis, Irese Axis in Akure South, and the Federal Council areas, as residents could not hide their emotions on the extent of damage done by the flood.
When we have opportunity and rain is shouting, that we can even pour the waste inside drainage. At the end of the day, if the rain did not fall, and if we have opportunity that the rain fall, then we will put the waste under the streams. So the stream will now block, so it affected every building.
The Minister of Environment,
Acting Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa, during an unscheduled inspection of areas affected, sympathized with residents affected by the flood and assured of prompt intervention to the incident.
The inhabitants of this community to cooperate with government to stop this attitude of dumping refuse into the canal. It will not do us good at all. And that is the result of what we are seeing here today. So much debris have been dumped into the little passage that is currently in place. It is not big enough, but by the time you begin to dump refuse into it, then it will create problem. And that is the problem. So we want to plead with the residents, please dispose your refuse properly. Don't dump them into the river. Pay your normal monthly due. The refuse collectors, they will come and do their job.
Ayedatiwa said the state government has released counterpart funds to partner relevant agencies to clear and expand canals and waterways to avoid flood incidences in the future.
Upstream very soon, the government of Ondo State, under the leadership of has made provision to bring lasting solution to our river or canal. Lasting solution to it. We are working with one of the development partners through New Map, EIB, European Investment Bank. We have contributed our own counterpart fund. We are just waiting for the disbursement or the commissioning.
Member representing Akure South Constituency 1, Stephen Abitogun, and Chairman Akure South Local Government, Benga Olaniyi, assured of quick intervention to avert the flood. The Olurese of Irese, Oba Ahmed Saka, and the Alaye of Aye community, Oba Peter Adeoye, thanked the acting governor for the prompt response as they look forward to government assistance in no distant time. It should be recalled that the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, had predicted that the year 2023 will bring regular downpours occasioned by flooding. Timileyin Falade, Osrc News.
A former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, and the president, Nigerian Union of Allied Health Professionals, Dr. Obonna, have called on the federal government to take urgent steps to halt brain drain in the health sector. They spoke at a two-day national conference attended by pharmacists, nurses, radiographers, dietitians, and medical lab scientists in Abuja. Mimiko said the reason many Nigerian doctors and other health professionals were running to other countries was because the country had not given its health sector the needed attention. The medical doctor cum politician urged the president, Bola Tinubu, to channel his planned palliatives and part of the money saved from subsidy payments to the health sector to curb the brain drain syndrome. Obonna described the trend as worrisome and disturbing that some of those living were those with cognate experience. The duo called on government to address the issue of the workers' welfare and remuneration as a matter of urgency. And away from that, Osrc State's Governor Ademola Adeleke has disclosed that his plans to carry out staff audits and fill up existing vacancies within the education, health, and other subsectors in the state was not witch hunt. The governor made this disclosure at the flag-off staff audits across the state's public service, which started with his biometric capture, that of the deputy governor and the Speaker of the House of Assembly. The data capturing was preceded by a closed-door meeting with the state labor leadership, where processes and procedures were firmed up to ensure protection and fulfillment of the interests of all stakeholders. In the same vein, the Katsina State government has set up a committee to conduct a comprehensive manpower audit in the state civil service. The head of civil service, Alhaji Usman Isiaku, who performed the inauguration, said Governor Diko Rada in his inaugural speech had promised to conduct a staff audit to eliminate ghost workers in the state and to upskill the public sector to work efficiently. Isiaku said the committee is expected to submit its report within 4 weeks. You're watching the news at 7. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll serve you more stories. Please stay with us.
Who wants to tell me the answer? Good. This way.
I give my soul. You get my time and dedication.
Hey, stop that.
You know, get waiting for life. Where I know fit to. Cause all the dream where we don't dream must to come true. It must to show for you. Cause it's sure for me. Together we will ride against the mountains away. So make you dare with me, cause I dare for you. Together we will ride against the mountains away.
Teach the advanced way with Glow LTE Advanced, the power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
I am happy to be here, I'm blessed to be among. Happy to be here, I'm blessed to be among. To celebrate Ileya Salah in good health. Thank you, Allah, for keeping me alive.
I am happy to be here, I'm blessed to be among. Happy to be here, I'm blessed to be among. To celebrate Ileya Salah in good health. Thank you, Allah, for keeping me alive.
Down Nigeria,
But that is Allah.
I know homes and property.
Suke Makunyamisa. Modupe Muradu. Modupe Muradu. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Modupe Muradu.
Modupe Muradu.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Modupe Muradu. Alhamdulillah.
Agron Homes.
Building cities. cities, communities, and homes.
Sound health is considered to be the greatest wealth and assets. That is why Ondo State Government has made access to quality healthcare for all residents through an efficient and affordable health insurance scheme a priority. The entire staff and management of the Ondo State Contributory Health Commission on this occasion of our 4th anniversary of operation wishes to thank all enrollees and stakeholders for their support all through the years. We hereby pledge not to rest on our oars until every resident of the Sunshine State is covered under the health insurance scheme. Ondo State Contributory Health Scheme. NairaWise Health Smarts.
Have you heard? Momo is turning 12 people who refer the highest number of friends into millionaires in the Momo Refer and Win promo. There is also over 200 million naira up for grabs. How do you win? Dial *671# to open a Momo account if you don't have one. Then select option 6 to refer everyone you know. Yes, I said everyone, because everyone deserves to be a millionaire. Make sure the person you refer opens a Momo account and buys airtime or data of at least 100 naira. The more people you refer, the more cash prizes you win every week, and you increase your chance of becoming a millionaire in the Momo Refer and Win promo. Promo runs from 15th June to 9th August 2023. Momo, better than cash.
Thank you for rejoining us. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook, OSRC TV. And you on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel, OSRC TV Ondo. And now to the rest of the bulletin, going over to Kano. A federal high court in Kano, presided over by Justice Simon Amobeda, has granted an ex parte motion that temporarily halts the demolition of structures and property in the state. Justice Amobeda's order specifically restrains the Kano State government and its agents from proceeding with the demolition of the properties situated along Book Road, Kano. This court ruling comes as a relief to the affected property owners who had faced the threat of demolition and serves as a temporary safeguard for their properties until the court fully determines the case. The judge ruled that hearing on July 10 will provide an opportunity for both parties to present their arguments and evidence before the court reaches a final decision. The motion was filed by Saminu Muhammad seeking to protect specific buildings from being demolished by the Kano State government. 3 out of 13 students from Nigeria Medical Student Association, MINIMSA, who went on a boat cruise at Marina Resort in Calabar, Cross River State, are still missing. Their boat capsized when some of the medical students who came from universities across the country to attend the NIMSA Annual Health Week in Calabar as part of social activities went to the Marina Resort to have a boat cruise. 2 of the missing students are from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, while one was from University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. The Nigerian Navy said the boat capsized due to the high wave on the Calabar Channel, and the 14 passengers, including the driver, drowned. Canada's Immigration and Refugee Board, IRBC, says it turned down 114 Nigerians who applied for refugee protection between January and June 2023. Data from the Refugee Protection Division of IRBC shows that 12,035 Nigerians have been rejected under the scheme since January 2013. Nevertheless, 9,783 Nigerians were granted refugee status within the period under review. Executive Director, Women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation, Imaobong Ladipo Sanusi, who judged their acceptance rate as fair, said irregular migration was often the main cause of rejections. She noted that the 1951 UN Convention on the Status of Refugees defines refugees as persons with a substantiated fear of persecution because of their race, nationality, religion, political ideology, or membership in a particular social group. A total of 125 stranded Nigerians are the latest to arrive the country from war-torn Sudan. A total of 2,518 stranded Nigerians were evacuated from Sudan last month, after which the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, planned a mob operation to bring those still stranded back to the country. The Director General, NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed, said out of the 125 passengers, 3 were the last batch of students that arrived, assuring that the last batch of evacuees would arrive today. He thanked the federal government for giving NEMA the necessary support required, promised as an agency to give government the best of its output to ensure that the agency's mandate is performed to the latter. Away from that, as the government of Bola Tinubu as Nigeria's 16th gradually stamps its grip on power, some clergymen have called for a law banning prophecies relating to election and its outcome. The call is premised on the basis of several predictions during the 2023 general elections suggesting one candidate or the other will win the contest. Some men of God, while expressing displeasure over the rancor and division prophecies on election have created among Nigerians, also want faithful to be wary of blind following of spiritual leaders, prompting them to everything from them, hook, line, and sinker. Zaida Ibisala has more.
The build-up to the 2023 poll in Nigeria was not only dominated by political campaigns and other electioneering activities, but also conflicting prophecies from both anointed clerics and self-acclaimed men of God. Majority of the message centered on what the outcome of the election will be, who will eventually emerge as winner, and some of the circumstances likely to play out during and after the polls. Some of the men on the pulpits claimed God spoke to them, and they were sure that former Vice President and presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, would win the presidential election, even as others pitched their tents with Peter Obi of the Labour Party. A number of them predicted victory for Bola Tinubu of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, but a portion of the lots actually claimed the former Lagos State governor would win, but like MK Abiola's story in 1993, his victory at the polls won't take him to Osrc. Contrary to most of the prophetic claims, the election was conducted on Saturday, February 25, 2023, and Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress (APC) emerged winner. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) did not just announce him as winner, but he was equally sworn in as president on May 29. Reflecting on the dominance of prophecies during the election, some clergymen cautioned faithful not to allow themselves to be misled by politicians under the garb of religious leaders.
Most of our religion leader, they have turned into what called or tete, and that is not the way that God give us. The Bible talks about itching ears. Many people, they have what they want to hear, and some psychologists who call themselves pastors or prophets or imam, they study you. They want what you want to hear, and they tell you what you want to hear.
The concerned citizens harped on the need for people to get themselves acquainted with pristine teachings of the scripture.
It is true there is prophecy, and it's a particular ministry which God established, and it's a well-honored one. But don't be surprised. It is even written, there are a lot of them that are fake. A lot of them are fake. Ó tilẹ̀ wà nínú ìwé mọ́ wípé wòlíì náà tó bá ìdè tó sọ̀rọ̀ gbù tí ò ṣẹ Ọlọ́run kan ló rán.
The religious leaders also insisted that there is an urgent need to place a legislation banning prophecies on the conduct of election and its outcome.
Anybody that prophesies anything that's wrong, that there is a penalty, they can go for it. People want magic. The actual setup in the church is for salvation. Ṣé rí ìyókù Ọlọ́run ló máa fún yàn, but people have abandoned that. They are looking for money anyhow.
President Bola Tinubu might have been inaugurated as Nigeria's president, but his emergence is still a subject of litigation at the Presidential Election Tribunal. Now, the clarion call from patriots, non-partisan citizens is for Nigerians to see themselves as brothers, irrespective of tribal, religious, or political differences, and never allow periodic elections to cause undue hatred, acrimony, and division capable of damaging national cohesion as well as peaceful coexistence. Sahil Aribisala, Osrc News.
Meanwhile, Christian women have been urged to teach children and the young the word of God to enable them learn to live a righteous life that is pleasing to God. The leader of Good Women of Living Pilgrims Rehoboth Assembly, Mrs. Temidayo Arogundade, gave the charge at the 7th anniversary of the association held in Akure. Our correspondent, Kule Ariyo, reports.
It was yet another awesome moment in the presence of the Lord as the good women of Living Pilgrims Rehoboth Assembly Akure celebrated God who has spared and counted them worthy to witness this year's anniversary. For 2 days, members at a colorful gathering celebrated the 7th anniversary of the association amidst prayers and praises to God. With the theme, Women of God in These Changing Times, the women leader, Mrs. Temidayo Arogundade, charged them to step out and be a voice to the next woman in need. She said over the years, Good Women has provided a forum where thousands of women have been impacted, inspired, and encouraged to achieve their God-given potential by the words and teachings of carefully chosen and proven speakers.
In a world filled with turmoil, division, and uncertainty, women ministry in this church provide women with an opportunity to study God's word, serve others, and give and receive biblical support. Simply put, women ministry is women connecting with women and encouraging their work with Christ.
In a sermon at the Thanksgiving service, Pastor Adeolu Adedapo charged Christians to restore sanity into the fold with the fruits of the Spirit so that the church will continue to serve as a refuge. The minister also called on parents to obey biblical injunction and uphold the importance of training and disciplining children, while the church complements as charity begins at home.
The changes that are happening in the society, it has begun to affect our marriages. Affecting our lives. Affecting our relationship. Even it is affecting the church of God today.
Pastor Adedapo called on the government to do the needful for citizens as he charged the church to always tell politicians the truth when they renege on their manifesto. The event featured soul-lifting additions. Good Women Association is to promote relationships amongst women and to equip them to use well the gift that God has given them. Osrc News.
Mercenary Wagner Group's boss, Yevgeny Prigozhin, says he ordered his forces who had been advancing on Moscow to turn around and return to their bases to avoid bloodshed. He reportedly will go into exile in Belarus as part of the deal. Russian President Vladimir Putin had vowed to punish Prigozhin for an armed mutiny by the militia. Akintunde Akinshomola has the detail.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has vowed to punish Wagner mercenary boss Yevgeny Prigozhin for an armed mutiny by the militia. He said that Russia is facing state treason. In a televised address, he said authorities will take decisive action to stabilize the situation in Rostov, a southern Russian city which Wagner says it has taken control of. Footage showed heavily armed Wagner troops and military vehicles posted in the city streets. A video posted by a pro-Wagner Telegram channel showed Prigozhin seemingly relaxed, conversing with two generals at the headquarters of Russia's huge southern military district. It could be seen demanding to see Army Chief Sergei Shoigu in Rostov, or else it will blockade the city and head for Moscow. That came soon after Prigozhin announced a march for justice with 25,000 fighters all the way to Moscow to house the military leadership as punishment, according to Prigozhin, for an alleged Russian airstrike that killed a huge number of his mercenaries. He made an announcement in a series of audio clips released on Friday, in which the sound of his voice sometimes varied and could not be independently verified. Prigozhin said his actions were not a military coup, but he vowed to punish those who destroyed the lives of many tens of thousands of Russian soldiers, and he was ready to go all the way against the top brass and destroy anyone in their way, raising stakes in what seemed to be the biggest domestic crisis in Russia since its full-scale invasion of Ukraine last year. Russian state-run Russia 24 channel interrupted its programming to relay a statement from the defense ministry saying Prigozhin's allegations were untrue and a provocation. Russia's Federation Security Bureau urged Wagner fighters, quote, not to make irreparable mistakes, not to carry out the criminal and traitorous orders of Prigozhin, and to take measures to detain him. Earlier, Prigozhin released a video on Telegram that the Ukraine war was based on lies.
Why was the war needed? The war was needed so that a handful of scumbags could have a blast.
It's the first time he's publicly rejected Moscow's officials' justifications of the war, which is a jailable offense in Russia, and it marks an escalation of its criticisms of Russia's military top brass, mainly targeting Army Chief Sergei Shoigu and Russia's top general Valery Gerasimov. Prigozhin's militia spearheaded the capture of Bakhmut last month at an enormous human cost, and now he's headed to Belarus after an abrupt end to the mutiny. Akintunde Akinshimola for Osrc News.
Now to render news at 7, a quick look at the major stories. Ondo State government has promised to clear all waterways and canals in the state to reduce cases of flooding. We also told you former Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko has called on the federal government to take urgent steps to halt brain drain in the health sector. Clerics have sought a legislation banning election prophecies and political predictions in Nigeria. And from the foreign scene, Sierra Leoneans are awaiting results of the general election conducted over the weekend. And that makes it a wrap on the news at 7. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.